I always felt that whether or not it will be known is a different question, but whether or not it would be, yeah, because it always was. I mean, to me, the fact that you didn't have the industry in Chicago was the blessing and the curse. So it was the curse in the sense that you couldn't get heard. It wasn't just like, oh, you would, people in your neighborhood thought you were dope, and so therefore you had a deal. No, there was so many other hurdles you had to go through in order to be heard and known on a citywide level, and then to be able to go to ultimately New York or LA, wherever you had to go in order to get your deal. But therefore the people, so that's the curse. But the blessing is the people who ultimately got that had gone through so much and were so just, whether it's Common or Twista, like the best, were the people who ultimately got to the level, No ID, like, come on now. The best producers, the best artists, the best lyricists, when you got to a certain level in Chicago, it was because you had actually, whether you were in, no matter what lane you were in, it's because you were really good at what it is that you do. So now the fact that you got, a chance, a no name, yeah, that's right. Because that's always what Chicago was. It was always a proving ground before you even got to the point of being, respected in the city, and therefore, the ability to be respected beyond.
Well, it's just like New York. There's a lot of the forefathers of New York hip hop. They don't get a lot of recognition compared to, the ones that blew up, stuff like that. Even in LA, So it's just the way it is. There's no way of going about it. But I'm not gone yet, so you might still hear about us. I'll say 3 things. They're funny. Now they're funny. They won't sound that funny as I say them probably. But probably I save $100,000 in studio time by not going to the studio. That's one lesson. The other lesson is probably just focus on one artist if you're a label, or maybe 2, but not that many. And 3, like you said, be more confident. Because I think even to this point in my life, I became more confident. So it's like you should push yourself a little bit more and try to be more confident about yourself, whoever you are, about anything you do, not just music, because a lot of times we kind of like insecure about things, but we should just go for it, whatever it is.
Yeah, confidence is huge. So I would echo that in terms of, step out on yours and be confident. Don't wait. The one regret that I have, and I try not to think of it as a regret because I think I needed to do it for me personally. But I wish I didn't need to do it, I guess I would say, is when I stopped. Like when I stopped recording and stopped doing music, dumb. Never done that. At the same time where I was in my life, I think it probably was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. Because, kind of like we were talking about, COVID-19 right now, like disconnecting from things can give you perspective in a way that you would never get that perspective if you're still wrapped up in it. And so it was good for me to get some perspective inside my life. I wish I didn't need to do that in order to get that perspective. So my advice would be, unless you need to stop, don't stop. And even when you do, maybe pause, don't stop. I was going to say, you guys used to do the Chicago Rocks.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite shows was at the Metro for Chicago Rocks. And I just felt like as an MC, you always feel like you're the best. But at that point in time, I was actually right. And I just felt like, I couldn't be, I was at the peak of what I could do. We had, for the longest time, it was me and Tone. And so we always wanted to just be DJ MC and take those 2 elements, and all our shows and what we were on was all about that. But it's hard to be on that when you don't have wax that's out. So we finally had wax so we could rock a whole show just off the 1s and 2s. And so it was like this is what we've been building for. This is like now we are all natural. Like it's not just play the DAT tape and I rhyme. Like, no, it's like Tone is being a DJ. Tone is we're going to this song, we're going to that song. Like we're whatever we wanted, whatever he wanted to go is where we went. And so those types of those shows, and it was one at, you know, several at the Metro, but, you know, a few in particular at the Metro that are like my favorite moments in hip hop. Like, you know, those Metro shows with Tone, where we had enough wax that Tone could just go, and I just would follow. And the crowd knew enough of the songs, and it was just, that was it.
I try to keep it as short as possible. Going to Scribble Jam with Juice to go battle Eminem. Going to LA with Juice to go battle Supernatural. Being at No ID's house with Rhyme Fest and DJ PNS and a couple other guys, and he's playing How We Chill Part 2 to No ID, and then Common comes down in the basement and we start listening to it. I mean, Jello passing by HBK with Dr. Dre, and he's listening to How We Chill Part 2 and telling him my record's hot. You know, I mean, I just stopped there, but there's a lot of them, you know. But just experiences that, to me, are like crazy, you know. Yeah. Being on the phone with Lord Finesse, talking about digging records, I mean, for hours, you know, going to New York and being at Rocksteady and just looking at Big Pun and Big L, Sadat X and Pharoah Monch walking around like they're nobodies, and I'm like, these guys are somebody. Yeah.